Thank you for joining the Kentucky Couples Podcast. I'm Clifton.
And I'm Whitney.
So today we are going to do somewhat of a different episode. Up to now we've looked at some of the places we've been, and we have many more places in the future. But we thought we'd break it up a little bit and have a little bit of a different episode. And today we're going to talk about hotels. So we're going to give you our standard top 5 list. And the way we're going to do this is top 5 hotels, and that can be just broad chains in general, or it could be a specific hotel that we've stayed in. So I have no idea what Whitney's list is. She doesn't know mine, but we're going to share those, and then maybe one negative, maybe a hotel to stay away from, or just a bad experience that we've had. I'm sure that's something that everybody can relate to. So before we get started, Whitney, anything just generally that you look for in a hotel?
Well, then we get into my negatives if I start saying.
Well, just what do you look for, like something that you're looking for? Just
cleanliness is number one for me.
Yeah.
I like everything to be clean, and I will stay in older hotels. It just depends on the reviews. I'm really picky about reviews. If a hotel has to have like a certain amount of stars, usually over 8 for me, and if it has a lot of bad reviews, I don't want to pick that one, because usually people are pretty good at that. I like modern looking amenities. Not so much. It didn't have to be. When I was a kid, I probably would have said I had to look for a swimming pool, but that doesn't matter to me, because most of the time we're in and out because we're usually doing something to keep busy. But I really like to have a mini fridge because I like my snacks. Of course, everybody knows that. And I really like a nice bathroom, but sometimes you can't tell that until I like a good sized shower. You want me to really go into it? I have a lot.
Well,
I guess keep going, so you better get started.
We'll get into some of those, I guess, as we talk about why we like our specific one. So, won't you go ahead and start us out? What's number 5 on your list?
Number 5, surprisingly, would probably surprise you because you probably haven't thought about it. But for me, it was the Mayberry Motor Lodge.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I did not think about that.
I like the Mayberry Motor Lodge. It was a place we stayed in Mount Airy, Mayberry, North Carolina. I'm a very nostalgic, I love that kind of stuff, and that is it feels like you're back in the 60s, 50s. It was very small. Everything was just small, and I mean it's like the bathrooms, everything's tiny, but it wasn't fancy. It's old timey looking, but it was spotless clean.
Yeah,
so clean. The people were so nice. They had the cop cars, like the Andy Griffith cop cars outside and all that stuff. And it was just so nostalgic that I just really liked it. It took me back. And I have went back there. We've been twice since we stayed there. And honestly, I felt like that was part of it made me feel like it was part of the experience. Mm-hmm. So I really liked it.
Well, yeah, when you're going to Mount Airy, which is Andy Griffith's hometown, and so a lot of the things that you see on the TV show, they're kind of themed after, or a fictionalized version of what's really in Mount Airy, where you grew up at. So when you go there, you are kind of going for that vintage style, kind of a throwback in time, maybe to a simpler time. And so that's the way that hotel was. It's a simpler, I guess, a simpler hotel. The only thing I would say negative is it was really small.
But going back, remembering back in the 50s and 60s, I think people were a lot smaller.
Well, people were smaller, but I'm just in general, it was a small room. But like I said, Mount Airy is probably not a place you're going to go and stay a week, so it's really not that big a deal.
No,
Mostly,
it's just so nostalgic.
Yeah, if you're just going somewhere to sleep, it's fine.
Yeah, I just really liked it because it reminded me of probably what it would have been like during the time with the show. I loved that. And it was so clean.
Extremely clean, and that's really probably for everybody number one on their list. Nobody wants to go to a dirty.
I remember I was looking in the corners, and I was looking on the lights, because I am really weird about that. I was like, I wonder if there's dust or whatever, and I couldn't find any dust or anything.
No. So they also, just something cool about it, just to kind of come back to my memory as you was talking about it, was that there's several like vintage like vehicles like that are themed after what you may see on the show, like a wrecker or a police car. So all those are there, and I just think it's cool. It's just a good theme, like you said, it just fits in well. Anything else about that before we? move on?
No, I could just say if you go there and you decide to stay at the Mayberry Motor Lodge, do not expect a fancy hotel, a big
It's not
hotel.
a modern hotel.
It is not modern at all. It's small, but it is clean. The people are super nice.
Super
I don't
nice.
even, you can't even book. I don't think they have an online reservation thing. Last time we booked, it's like a one set rate pretty much all the time. You had to call.
And it's reasonable.
Yeah, it's reasonable, family operated. It has some nice outside places to sit, and I think there is a swimming pool there.
Yeah,
I
there's a
think
pool.
you had kids.
One other thing that just to note, it is not close to the downtown area.
No.
So Mount Airy is kind of divided into two sections. There's a portion that is kind of just a standard city that I guess is modern Mount Airy, and then there's downtown Mount Airy that's still where you're going to see some of the gift shops, some of the like Floyd's Barber Shop, the Snappy Lunch, places from the show. So just know the hotel that we're talking about, the Motor Lodge, is not
No, it's
close to downtown.
It's not.
I
But
mean,
there
it's
is a good restaurant across the road, Aunt B's, and
Yes.
they have really good breakfast.
great breakfast, but it's not a long ways, 5 minutes, but it's not like walking distance.
Last time we went, we stayed in an Airbnb, which was a house downtown, which was walking distance.
Oh yeah, you can walk to everything.
It was right by Wally's like filling station, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, if you want an experience of a hotel that will remind you of that time, it's the way to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so number 5 for me is a chain, and it is the Hampton Inn.
I
And
almost had that one. It's not on my list.
so the reason I put the Hampton Inn is because it is a Hilton hotel, and we're going to talk more about Hilton here in a little bit. But you know, for us, when we look at like chains, we usually look at properties owned by Hilton, Hyatt, or Marriott, because you kind of know what you're getting. And when you travel a lot of places, familiarity is important. And Hampton Inn is one of the cheaper of the Hiltons usually. So sometimes you can get good deals on Hampton Inn, and you can depend on them usually to be clean. You know, I always check reviews. There's always exceptions to that, but they have a good breakfast. And I think when you're looking somewhere that you're going, maybe you're not staying for an entire week, but say you're just staying one night and all you're really doing is sleeping, eating breakfast, and leaving, I don't think you could go wrong with Hampton Inn. We stayed at one just a couple weeks ago, just for a quick trip, but you always, I think, can depend on it. You know what you're getting, and that's important for me. Would you add anything?
I always did like the Hampton Inns. Quick funny note, I was a Hampton before
Yep.
I married Clifton, and I remember my dad used to tease us and tell us that it was our family that owned that, so I spent years thinking that, and I always thought, I want to stay at Hampton Inn because that's cool. It's my last name. But one thing I could say that I remember most about Hampton Inns is, and this may not matter to most people, but I like white bed sheets and blankets because I feel like they're clean and crisp. And they always have those. When I remember staying, some of the first places I stayed, those were where I started realizing they were using the white bed covers. And I really like that. So a lot of times, give or take, sometimes in Pigeon Forge when we go there, they don't always, they have older hotels too that we will stay in. But for the majority, I really like hotels to have those type of bed covers because I feel like they're clean and they can be bleached, and it makes me feel better. Even if they don't bleach them, I still feel like they do. And so I always like that about the Hampton Inn. I have rarely, I can't tell you a time I've stayed at one that's not been clean.
No,
So,
I agree with that. I know you mentioned Pigeon Forge. We stayed there probably back last spring or maybe in the winter. They built just a relatively new one. It's really nice.
yeah, I liked
there.
it really
Kind of
well.
on a back street. But it's, and when you say white, you're not just talking about the sheets. You're talking
I'm
about,
talking about the
the-
cover,
yeah,
all
the-
of it.
the quilt, the
Yeah.
bedspread, all of it's white, and it does make it feel clean. And it feels like they're not hiding anything.
And I can be honest. I mean, and would probably go on my negatives. There are a few places in Pigeon Forge I will stay who has like the colored bedspreads. You know what I'm talking about. The old looks like the 80s sort of.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about those. They just give me the EBGBs. I just feel like they're not clean, but they probably are. I don't know. But that's what I mean when I say that. I don't like those type of bed covers. I like the white. I mean, I can see what's going on there. If there's bed bugs, you can see them.
Yeah, I agree. It like I said, it just doesn't feel like they're trying to hide anything. All right, so number 4 on your list.
Number 4 for me is the Christmas Inn.
That's my number 4.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's funny. I love the Christmas Inn. Some good things. So we stayed there in like January.
Okay, so just note, this is just a single hotel, not a chain, in Pigeon Forge.
Yeah. Super nice. I mean, the grounds are absolutely beautiful. It's Christmas all year long.
Yep.
I actually, I would like to go back there. So that's something we need to check into. We need to take a little trip. But I love the decorations. The room itself is nice. I mean, it's just average at most. I mean, it's not super fancy, but it's not on low end either.
No, yeah,
but it
nice.
wasn't like nothing compared to the decorations out in the hallways and the lobby.
Similar to the way the Mayberry Motor Lodge was, it's about the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, it's
everything
not just
going
the
on.
room, because the room was very clean and nice. You could get upgraded rooms that were like fully Christmas decorated.
And suites, they have suites.
Yeah, and suites. It's very expensive. It was even a little bit expensive, about $150, $160 a night. I think after Christmas, around
like in
Christmas,
January.
you have to book it months in advance, because it's so expensive. And right now, the hotels there are very expensive anyway. So
Yeah, so I think, like you said, just the decorations, the Christmas trees in many of the rooms. You have Christmas trees all up and down the hallway. Santa Claus is always there every night. And I tell you my favorite part. Every night, fresh baked, homemade chocolate chip cookies and milk.
and they have hot chocolate.
Yeah, and hot chocolate. But
And Santa Claus is legit. He looks like Santa Claus.
but I mean, the entire hotel smells like chocolate chip cookies.
It's
wonderful.
Christmas for sure.
Yeah.
All year.
They also have a good breakfast. I remember. I do not remember if it's free or if you have to pay for it. So I will say that I can't remember.
I felt like it was free, but I don't remember.
But it was a breakfast buffet. I know that, and I remember it being very, very good. And like you said, any of these that we're saying, they're going to be clean just because we're obviously not going to put a dirty hotel on our top 5
No.
list. But I remember just exceptionally just
Beautiful.
the grounds. There's lights outside.
Gardens.
Gardens,
balconies,
places to go see it. It was
yeah.
it was just super nice. I agree, and that was number 4 on my list as well. So let's go ahead and do number 3.
My number 3 is the Hyatt Place.
This is my number 2.
I love Hyatt Place hotels. We've stayed at those quite frequently. Usually, we've stayed at a few of those in different cities, and I just like the space.
Yep.
I've always felt them to be clean. I will say they don't have the best breakfast options. Their food's kind of odd to me.
It's hit and miss.
Yeah, it's just different.
Some
Sometimes they
things
have
I've
odd
had
things.
are really good, and then some are not.
Yeah, and it just depends on, I guess everything's different, who's even cooking that day. But
Yeah.
as far as it goes, like, we've not really had a bad experience there.
No.
It feels like a home away from home, for me, because, like, sometimes we'll just drive to, like, Lexington, which we do that a lot, and there are lots of places that we stay. But many times we've drove there just to relax because the rooms are so spacious and so cool, and the air's always great. It's just great. I like the Hyatt Place.
I'll tell you, for me, the number one thing outside of cleanliness, if you're going to be at a hotel more than just to sleep that night, get up and leave, if you're going to be there for a few hours before bed, or if you're going to be there 2 nights, 3 nights a week, the number one thing for me is space. I don't like the only place to sit is on the bed. Just if you're going to stay there a while, it feels cramped. It feels like it's easy just for the room to become a disaster. I feel like you're always moving clothes or your suitcase to sit down, or You know, and I don't know, I just don't enjoy that.
Yeah,
And
they have a lot of space.
Yeah.
They have a nice couch.
And so they're all set up pretty much the same way. There's like a half wall that divides this kind of living room. That's usually like a sectional. Also on that side of the room there's like a desk to work at, and then there's kind of a kitchenette. You have a coffee maker, fridge, and a microwave, and then a sink over there as well. Then on the other side of this kind of half wall is the bedroom. You have, and it's not really its own room, but it's the bed, whether you have a king or two queens, and then the bathroom is on that side as well.
And the TV swivels, so you can turn
the TV
it
swivels,
toward...
so yeah, you can see it from either side of the room. You can kind of angle it that way. All the hotels, tile, showers, glass wall, really modern, spacious. And I'll tell you something else. To me, it's a little thing, but it makes it quicker in the morning getting ready. Is the bathroom
Sinks outside the bathroom.
The sink's outside the bathroom.
Because it takes me a while.
Yeah, so say you take a shower and come out to finish getting ready, I can go ahead and be going and taking my shower. And so it just makes it a little faster if,
You don't have to share the whole bathroom.
Yeah, if you're not
space.
sharing the whole bathroom, you're trying to do two things at once, and, somebody's trying to brush their teeth, or you're trying to put on makeup, and the steam from the shower still, just covering the mirror. So I like that. It's spacious, and that familiarity is really, really something I like. So like I said, that's my number 2. Anything you want to add about it before we?
Well, I'll just say this, and when we mention these hotels, like I know maybe somebody listening or anybody, we all like big, fancy, nice hotels, obviously.
Yeah.
And we've stayed in some super, super fancy hotels, but I want to give some reviews on some basic, like if you're traveling a lot, I personally do not like to spend an arm and a leg on a hotel. Some people may not think about that. Some people may want to put $200+ a night on a hotel, but that is not me. We like to stay. We could like to stay around $100 if possible. Sometimes it's not possible, and
sometimes
especially
cheaper.
now. Yeah, if we get it cheaper, we use Priceline a lot.
Yeah, that's something we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah,
but I'll say like Hyatt Place, you usually can find that $100 to $120 range.
Yeah.
Now that's always an exception. Like if you go somewhere and it's a busy time, let's say we go to Lexington for a football game, and it's homecoming weekend. You're going to be lucky to find a hotel room, and you're going to be over $200 a night. In that case, we usually just drive up. We don't stay that night.
But we try to find a lot of ways to.
Yeah, and we're actually, that's a good segue. We're kind of at a halfway point here. So really quickly, I want to talk about, and I didn't tell Whitney we were going to do this, I want to talk about 3 tips that I have for lodging in general. Okay?
He's a pro at finding lodging.
Yeah. So number 1 is, don't force yourself into hotels, okay? Airbnb, I know for some people that's never done it, that seems really odd. I know my mom is always like, I don't know, staying in somebody's house. But here's the thing with Airbnb. There's different levels of things that you can do. Yes, you can book somebody's spare bedroom. We've never done that. I don't anticipate us ever doing that. But that's an option, especially if you're on a budget. Second thing that you can do, though, is you can book the entire place. And so usually when I go there, I put the dates we want, I put what city it is, and I click on a filter that says entire place. So now I know either I'm getting somebody's entire house or it's an apartment and I'm getting the entire apartment. I'm not going to have to, walk through somebody's living room and share a bathroom with the people that live there. That's not what I'm about doing. But I'll tell you, when I really become a fan of Airbnb was in Washington, D.C. D.C. is a great vacation spot, and it's one we will definitely be doing an episode about fairly soon, I would imagine. But one of the great things about it is a lot of things there are free. You have the Smithsonian, you have the White House, you have all these museums and, the Capitol building, all these things you can do that are free. The Smithsonian, the National Zoo, I mean, just things that are great, and you could spend days at any one of those places, and they're completely free. The downside, though, is lodging in D.C., if you stay somewhere, in a good part of town that is pretty close to everything, hotels are outrageous. And I know we went once. Whitney and I did with my brother and sister-in-law. We shared a room, and it was like $300 a night for just a basic hotel room. I mean, it was nice. It was a Marriott, but it wasn't anything extraordinary. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And so, $350 a night plus parking. You're paying for parking in these major cities, and it was
it was very nice.
40 some dollars a night
But
to
man.
park. I mean, it was nice, but the room itself wasn't anything special. There was just 2 beds and a bathroom. It was just a hotel room with, it was nice. I mean, nice amenities.
Most of the hotels in downtown cities like that are a little small.
Yeah, and you're gonna pay to park and all this stuff. So, and it was still, a good 10, 15-minute walk, as hard as you could walk to most, just to get down to kind of the main, where all the museums and monuments are. Now, fast forward 2 years later, we go through Airbnb, we get a townhouse all to ourselves.
Yeah, it was nice.
You could see the Capitol building from it, and we stayed for $103 a night.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just...
The only thing I will
Right.
tell you, just check the air conditioners in those
Yeah.
those older buildings don't have great air conditioners. That was tough.
Yeah, that
but
was.
the room was amazing.
And that was really there's a filter. You can put air conditioning as an option. I just didn't see that.
Well, you don't really
and
think
they didn't
about
have it turned on yet. So,
Yeah, you don't think about
but
it.
I mean, still, I would do it again for that price, the location.
Yeah.
Just, I would probably take me a good fan with me.
Yeah.
But, and it was in March, so it was just abnormally hot too. I remember.
You use those price lines
Yeah.
and those places. Just look for those, because I feel like that has been our best thing, because the more you use them, the better deals they give you.
And that's my number 2 tip is be loyal, not necessarily to a brand, but to if you're going to go through a third party to book, be loyal to one. Priceline is what we use a lot.
I think we're gold members now.
we're gold members where we've done it so much.
A lot.
And
Cruises,
VIP
everything.
status.
We go a lot through Priceline.
Yeah, so, and that helps. I've seen it firsthand. I have access to better rates than some other people do. And then I know my brother, they use hotels.com a lot, and I think every 10th night is free through them. So that's a cool perk. So just maybe look around at what each website offers.
And sometimes the
And then-
hotels will match them too.
Yep.
So that is something to check on.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And then the last tip I have, if you're shopping around, this is for hotels, this is for airlines, airplane tickets, whatever it is. If you are going to shop online, especially for travel situation, and let's say you're checking prices a day, you're not really ready to commit to book, but you just want to check, do that in incognito mode, okay? Because anytime you go to a website, you've heard the term on a computer, cookies, it stores a cookie, which is it's a little mark that website knows, hey, they've been here and they looked at hotels for next Saturday night in Lexington. 9 out of 10 times, you do that and you go back tomorrow to book, those prices are going to be up. They know you're looking. They know they kind of have you trapped in. So if you do that in incognito mode, that doesn't allow the websites to save cookies. So do that for your airline tickets, anything when you're going to shop, do that. It will save you a headache. You're not logged into your account. Just make sure you click that, and then when you go back, those prices are going to stay about the same, and that allows you to shop around a little bit without kind of the websites tracking you. Okay, so
Good point.
Yep. So that gets us back to ours, and I guess we're at my number 3 since your number 3 was my number 2, the Hyatt Place, and number 3 for me is a specific hotel. Okay, and it's the Griffin Gate in Lexington.
Yeah.
Griffin
Forgot
Gate.
about the Griffin Gate.
Yep, is a hotel that's been in Lexington.
We obviously like Lexington.
for years. Yeah. Well, it's because we go in the fall. We in the past have had season tickets for Kentucky football. We're there every Saturday, especially if games are early or late. We'll stay. But Griffin Gate has been there for a long time, and also through work we have a lot of trainings in Lexington sometime, and so we used to go every a week every summer for trainings, and they would always put us in Griffin Gate to stay. And I'll tell you the reason I like it is by far the most comfortable beds I've ever slept in
Yes.
in a hotel.
It's been a while. I may
Yeah.
have to go take me a little trip up there.
So nothing,
You're making me
nothing.
want to travel.
Yeah, nothing beats your bed at home, obviously. But now Griffin Gate is
When
a
Clifton had
phenomenal
trainings there, honestly, we would go for like a week at a time. And he would be going to trainings, and they had these heavy duty black curtains. He would come back, and sometimes I'll be honest, I was still in the bed because it was so nice.
And I know also they just went through a new remodel, and I think it's even better than before. There's a golf course on site, a country club. I know they do a lot of events. There's conference rooms. I know they host weddings. Just a really nice place. One thing I will note though, sometimes, like I said, it can be on the expensive side, and sometimes you can get it reasonably priced. Probably always usually going to be around $100 a night or maybe more. We always look for good deals. One other thing I will mention: if you book through the hotel's website, whether that's Marriott or Hilton or Hyatt or whatever it is, Choice Hotels. If you are a part of any organization, there's a button for special rates. Use that. Whether it's AAA, if you're in the military or military family, if you're a teacher like us, you're a state employee, whether that's a federal employee or a state employee, you can get major discounts. So Griffin Gate, for example, unless there's a special event, it almost always you can get it for $108 a night. And compare that to normally, it may be $250 a night.
Or more.
So that's just something.
They have an amazing
Wherever
pool,
you're
by the
at,
way.
state
It's like a
employee,
resort pool,
Yeah,
so
take your teacher ID, and that's it. So that's something
Go there.
always to do. But like I said, no matter any organization you're a part of, AARP, AAA, like I said, use those, look at those, see if you fall into any of those criteria, and book it. If it's there.
because I can almost
book it.
promise you there's better rates for you. if
Yeah,
you
there's
try.
better rates. Yeah. It's very rare where that rate is not better than what the hotel's offering. On occasion, like if there's a big conference, they may jack them up on that rate, and your standard rate be lower, but that would be unusual. So anything you want to add about Griffin Gate before we move on?
I don't think so. I think you covered it pretty good.
All right. So that gets us to your number 2.
Okay. So my number 2, I put like a chain of hotels because there's so many we've stayed at. Is the Marriott hotels. Like, we love them. I feel like I've not had a bad experience with the Marriott. I've stayed at some probably was a little bit lower. There's one in Lexington, one we stayed at that's not far from the Hyatt place. It's Marriott, I think, isn't it?
Yep,
it's not as great.
That's a
but-
good point. Okay. The 3 big chains, and I mentioned this earlier, that we stay at are Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt. I will check those before I check anything.
Yeah.
Then I kind of go to Priceline, see what they got going on. And if we're ever somewhere and it's just super busy, we may go to another hotel that, just a cheaper one, just as long as it's got good reviews and it's clean. But typically, those are the 3 we stay in. And I will say, outside of just like the space, just the quality of the room, I do think Marriott may be the best.
Yeah, I love them.
Love
Marriott.
Now, there's a lot of things that fall under it. There's your standard Marriott. There's like JW Marriotts, which are their high end. I know we've stayed at nice ones in D.C. and in New York. We've stayed at all of these nice places. But there's like Spring Hill Suites, which is nice. But like the Courtyard Marriott
Yeah.
is kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
You can get
Yeah.
nice, new, revamped Courtyard Marriotts,
Or you can get low grade.
or you can get some that's old, and they're never
No,
dirty,
I mean, and it's never been terrible.
but it's not what you think of when you think of Marriott, really, for us. It's just kind of older, and they can be dated if it's not a modern one. I know, back to Lexington, I know they just built a new one in the new city center. There's 2 that we've not
The
stayed
ones
in yet.
downtown, I love that.
Yeah.
Most of those downtown places are really cool.
Yeah. So I would agree with that. Marriott's are, they're great. And I'll tell you something else I like that is for some people may not be a big deal, but if you're there for a day or two, that I like is most of their TVs have a channel built in that they have a YouTube channel and you can log into your YouTube, or they have a Netflix channel and you log into your Netflix.
We like our type
and
of stuff.
so you can kind of log in and it's more customized,
Yeah,
I know
it's
for
pretty
us,
cool.
we stream. That's about all we do is stream stuff. That's all we watch on TV. So it's kind of weird. You go somewhere and they don't have that, or you don't have access to it.
We're
You're
not used
watching
to a
on your
TV,
phone. Yeah.
a regular. I mean, like satellite TV
Yeah.
or whatever.
So yeah, I agree with that. But what is it about Marriott that you kind of like?
I always feel like I walk in, they're clean.
Mm-hmm.
The beds are usually pretty nice. Most of them have been spacious.
Modern.
Yeah, modern. I just really like them. I just feel like they're worth a little bit extra when we can, if
Yeah.
we're able to. They're worth a little bit extra because I just feel like I know I always feel like when I'm gonna stay at Marriott, I know I'm probably gonna get a really good night's sleep,
Yeah.
or I'm not gonna be like, oh, I need to get out of here, it's nasty or whatever, because I've not ever had that bad experience. So
And one other thing I know you've just not thought of it, or you said it, is a lot of these that we're mentioning, but especially Marriott, they have high-end shampoo and conditioner.
oh yeah,
And that makes a difference.
Yeah, buddy, I love that. I love. They have like Paul Mitchell stuff there for
Yeah.
a while. They have Neutrogena sometimes, and I like it. So
I hate when you go to a hotel and when you lathered up your hair.
and
your
he's
hands-
lathering it as he speaks.
Your hands
If you could
feel
just see it.
grimy and sticky for like the next hour or two while that soap scum.
Well, my
sticks to
pet
your
peeve
hand.
too
I hate
is that, and I can't stand for all of it to be like. I like a separate shampoo, conditioner, soap. I don't like all that in one. That just
Yeah, I
tears
don't
me
either.
up. And they give you that option. They always have good toiletries there,
Mm-hmm.
and if you need them, they always usually have them at the front desk. You can go get if you forget something. Because recently we forgot our toothbrush and toothpaste.
And
So
they had and I thought the toothbrush was really good. I brought it home.
yeah,
with me.
I mean,
forgot
so I have to say, I always most of the time I'll pick Marriott number one,
it. Yep. So that was your
number two.
number two.
But my number one is a Marriott. I think maybe it's not.
I think so. If it's what I'm thinking, you're going to say.
Well, you want me to go ahead and tell you what it is? Okay. It's the Embassy Suites.
Now, that's just Hilton.
Oh, it's Hilton. Okay, I
So
wasn't
this
sure.
is both of our number one.
Lexington
So
Green.
yeah,
first
step
of all.
aside. This is my number one. Embassy Suites are my favorite anywhere we go. If we're going anywhere, I look for that. But our favorite one, Lexington Green, next to like Comedy Off Broadway and Joseph Beth Bookstore, right on Nicholasville Road. And here's the thing.
Not bad. It's not. I mean, it's nice, but
Everything we've said we look for, they have. One, it's clean.
it's very clean.
Two, super spacious.
Yes.
All the rooms are suites, and they're all 3-room suites.
Hey, it feels like a little apartment.
Yeah. So you go in, it's set up some way. Front door, you come into a very spacious living room that has a recliner, a couch, a dining room table that usually has 4 seats, and then a little kitchenette. Okay? Then you go through a door that closes into a middle room that's the bathroom. Has a sink outside and a sink inside. Has a fridge. I think there may be fridges in the bedroom and in the living room. And then
Well, I'm not
it
seeing them
has-
in the. I don't know. I've not seen them in the bedroom, but the possibility.
I think
Maybe.
that's what it is. And then it has the closets there. And then finally you go through another door that closes, and you're in the bedroom. Again, it can be set up to have 2 doubles or 2 queens or a king. And just, there's even a chair in there. There's tons of space just in that bedroom. Just that bedroom would be
Yeah.
a good sized room.
And you can, like, the couches usually pull out. So,
Yep.
like, if you have other people, like, if you have a king room and somebody goes with you. My mom actually went with us. We had a king room. She went with us for a doctor's appointment, and she said the bed was really comfortable. So,
And,
pull out
and
bed.
honestly, that's somewhere, if you were in a pinch, you could, if you got the 2 double beds or 2 queen beds in the bedroom, you could sleep 6 people. Put
Yeah.
2 on the sofa bed and then 4 in the bedroom very easily. Now,
go ahead. Go ahead
the
and tell 'em.
reason this is the best hotel.
This is where I took him for his birthday. It's that serious.
Is they have the far and away best breakfast for a hotel. Okay?
Yes.
Now, you may be able to hear my love for breakfast. I'm a picky eater, but I love breakfast. I could eat it for dinner almost every night. I love breakfast.
The man loves his bacon.
Yes. And it may be my favorite breakfast of any.
I love it too.
Like,
And we eat a lot of breakfast, and I know you may eat it and think this is not good, but for us, it is the
Every
number
time we've
one.
had it, it's been great.
The man that cooks it there
Especially the one in Lexington.
at the Lexington Green, he is an amazing. He makes the best omelets, hands down.
Great
ever.
personality.
I
He's
wish he
friendly.
could hear this so we could just tell how amazing his food is.
Yep. So
If I was rich, I would hire him to be my personal chef.
here's the deal. A standard hotel breakfast is a continental breakfast. You have some donuts, maybe some toast or bagel, and some cereal. And that's it. A step up from that are those things, maybe some sausage links if you're lucky,
Do love those.
and the little waffle makers.
That's
okay.
good too.
Now, Embassy Suites
He's tore
has
up.
all of those.
Amen.
A breakfast bar that has
Yes.
gravy. Now, this is going to be regional, depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
The one in Seattle didn't have the same as the one in Lexington or in Knoxville, in the South. But the one in Lexington, gravy and biscuits, sausage patties,
Yep.
ham, hash browns, or some kind of potato. They have like 4 or 5 different types of bread, different types of bagels,
Yes.
fresh fruit,
Yogurt.
tons of jelly, yogurt,
Danishes.
yeah, danishes, cinnamon rolls, donut, all that stuff. Plus a station made to order any type of egg you want, fresh made pancakes or waffles. Bacon
My
is always
omelets.
frying. Omelets any way you
Amen.
want them. And what all can you get in an omelet there? I don't eat eggs,
Okay.
so she can tell you that's her
Well,
thing.
just
Mine's
let me
the
go
bacon.
into that. Pretty much anything you can get, like bacon, ham,
Sausage.
spinach, sausage, cheese, onions, peppers, mushrooms,
Several types of cheese,
jalapenos.
right?
Yeah, you get to pick your cheese. I know there's jalapenos, tomatoes. Yeah, all the above. It is. I just love them. It's amazing. So
Yeah. So Embassy Suites, I'm gonna say usually run anywhere from, if you're lucky, $100 up to maybe $250. Now, we usually don't stay there when it's on the top end of that. Very rarely. I don't know if we ever have really. We always like to get it $150, $160 or less. Now, that's the top end of what we would want to stay for just a regular hotel because, it just, to us, the value's not there. Usually when we travel, it's for the destination, not,
yeah,
we're not going to a hotel.
stopping for the night.
Yeah.
So.
But especially we have some extra time, we like an Embassy Suite because of
So
the
a lot
room.
of times we just do trips to the embassy suites.
But-
Just to be honest.
But if you were going out the next morning to eat breakfast, if this was just a standalone restaurant, I would not care to pay $20 a person for all you can eat breakfast bar like that. Would
Yeah, I
you?
love it. No, I love it.
So
Those omelets are worth it. Omelets and the French toast sticks. You didn't mention those. Those are amazing.
yeah, so I mean, to me, when you can have, some, so I take $40 off the list, off the price right there, just because I'm like, you're getting that value. I've never stayed at Embassy Suites that didn't have free parking. So to me, it's just you're getting value, even though it is more of a expensive hotel. Now, so for us, it just meets all our needs. It's clean, it's cheap, it's all the above. So anything else? Because I could go on about it, but
No, not really. I think you covered it all because most of the time we don't really do like pools or anything there. So
yeah. Now here's the thing. You can always go to high-end hotels. They're always, I'm sure if you listen to this, you're like, Embassy Suites is the best hotel in the world. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just somewhere any city I go to, I know I can.
I would feel comfortable.
I
It
can
fits
find
our needs.
almost any of these places. Like even Griffin Gate, that's a specific place. There's not any other Griffin Gates, but Marriott will have something like that, no matter where you're at. Now, with that said, I guess that gets us in to, as we get ready to close, our negatives. Everybody probably has a hotel horror story.
Oh, we have a few,
And
actually.
yeah, we have a few.
travel a
Some
lot.
I would just rather not share. And
One of them was closed down. Well, they changed it to something
well,
else.
that's gonna be mine, I think. So we're gonna start with, like always, what is your
Well, I have a
negative?
few. Okay, so today I'm
Shocker!
Just
I know everybody out there listening is shocked to this that Whitney has more than one negative.
I really don't like Choice hotels very much. I'm just gonna be honest. Okay, I have very rarely have had a good experience with a Choice hotel. Ever seems like every time we go, there's a problem with the reservation. The people are rude. It smells funny. I mean, it's just name the list. I hope Choice Hotels, if you're listening to this, step it up a notch, and then I'll give you another review. And I'm sure there's some good ones out there. You may love Choice Hotels. That might be your thing. But we've had a lot of bad experiences with Choice Hotels. So that's number one for me. I cannot stand a hotel. Take this back. There are very few that I will stay at. I do not like outside doors. I like what would you even call them? Like a motel.
She likes hotels, not motels.
I do like them, like I said,
She likes hallways to be on the inside.
yes,
not on
I
the
do not
outside.
like the traditional outside, go up, get a key, the air conditioner's hanging out, sticking out the window a little bit. You can hear it, blah, blah, blah. That just stresses me out. Reminds me of, being a kid or whatever. There's a few of them I will stay at in Pigeon Forge because that's kind of, like I said, nostalgic to me.
And the Mayberry
Motor Lodge. I'll give those because they're clean. But I don't know, they creep me out. I just don't like them, especially if you're on the bottom floor. Ugh.
Yeah.
And I already talked about the bedspreads. I like my white sheets and all that. I already talked about that. So that's pretty much my negatives.
Okay. My negative is a specific experience that we had as a group at church. So we took a youth trip to a youth conference. Took some of our kids at church, and this was the first time going to this conference. And the way it was set up, you pay for the conference and hotel all together, and the conference will assign your hotel. Well, I think we had 4 or 5 rooms, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And
Some were supposed to be suites, by the way.
There was no suites at this hotel. This hotel has shut down. Well, let me rephrase that. The building's still there. It is now a Days Inn.
I hope they. Yeah.
I hope they have updated it. I will probably never find out. But if you're listening, let us know. And maybe we could give it another shot, but unlikely. But it used to be called the Grand Inn. There was a Grand Motel directly across the street that was demolished, but the Grand Inn. Okay. How would you describe this place, Whitney?
A nightmare.
Old,
run down,
dirty,
filthy. Not even dirty, filthy.
Yes.
To the point where I couldn't close my eyes. I was afraid to go to sleep. I didn't know. It was horrible. Hot. Probably something you'd watch in a Netflix series, maybe a murder documentary. I'm not sure what could have happened there, but it's quite scary, actually.
There were those type of vibes. Like, if you were into the sketchy lifestyle, it's probably a place that you would frequent. So, I don't know. Any negative, really, that you had, it checked the box. They didn't have breakfast.
No, the internet didn't work. They kept saying they would give us the information to hook up to the Wi-Fi. We never got it. We had to go down like 40 times. The appliances were from like 1925.
Yeah, I wouldn't use them. I wouldn't have turned them on.
Yeah, they were like disgustingly covered in nasty filth.
Grime and
the beds, like we tried to sleep. Some of the girls I had in my room with me. I had some of the kids.
Like so
we
many cans of Lysol,
but I looked around. I mean, there was just like dirt caked in the corners, and we had no choice. This was our conference paid for.
Yeah,
we had saved it. It's not like we could just go take all these kids we had.
Yeah, we hadn't paid separate for this, so we couldn't just go to the lobby and get a refund.
No.
They didn't have our money.
So
It was all-
what we would have done is, we was paid through this conference, and that's something you have to be careful about.
Yeah.
First of all, Pigeon Forge anyway, because they do have a lot of really old, rundown hotels because it's a very old place. So you have to be
Now, just
careful.
because it's
anyway.
old doesn't mean it's run down.
No. It's just like it's just it's just an older place.
Yep.
So, but anyway, Pigeon Forge just has all types of hotels.
Yep.
But this place was probably like, I remember laying in the bed at night and I would try to close my eyes. I would doze off for a few minutes and just wake back up. It was the wintertime we went, but it was so hot. It was terribly hot because our heat was like triple.
You didn't. Well, look, we didn't have bed bugs. We never been anywhere that if
No.
they had bed bugs, they
It was
got
just
on our stuff.
The bathtubs, like you wanted to wear shoes.
Yeah.
The toilets and stuff, like they were like broken.
Yeah.
I think some of the kids had like broken toilet.
Yeah.
But we couldn't pick our kids up. I know a lot of people's like, well, why'd you stay? But when you raise money all year to take kids on a trip like that, and the church doesn't have any more money, we just didn't have the money to pick up 20 some people and move them somewhere
Yeah.
else. There was no other hotels in town.
Yeah, everything was booked. Just conference with tens of thousands of teenagers. So
And we did, and some of the kids didn't pay as much attention as us, so we didn't want to like disappoint them and just pack up and leave.
you learn your lesson and then from then on, the times we've been to that conference or really any conference,
We changed.
we pay for the conference, and then separately we book our own hotel.
That was a lesson learned.
So
that was a horror story. You're right. It was absolutely terrible.
okay, so I want to close with some housekeeping, but I have one funny story I would like to tell, and this is on my dear little brother. And so I don't know if he listens to this podcast. So
He should.
if he doesn't, this is your payback for not listening and supporting our podcast. But if you do, you know what story's coming. So remember that nice, fancy,
Very, very nice.
hotel we're talking about in DC. Valet only parking. So we get there and we're valet parking, and just going in, we probably look like the Clampetts. Okay, we probably look like the Beverly Hillbillies coming to town because we're staying for a week. You got to have snacks. You have to have groceries. So we all come in packing 2 or 3 Walmart bags apiece into this nice, fancy hotel. So it's not every day that the bellman probably gets handed Walmart bags to take up to the room, but that's exactly what we did. So here's the funny part of the story. So we get there, and Whitney and Tiffany, that's my sister-in-law, stayed out. Was getting some stuff out of the vehicle while my brother and I went in to check in, and so I'm kind of doing most of the talking to this guy, and we check in. He's handed us our cards, and we're in this lobby that's just immaculate. And so this guy kind of briefly raises his hand as he's speaking, and my brother interprets that raising of his hand to be a high five. So he
Holding his hand up to tell us what direction to go.
He goes
to the elevator.
Yeah, he goes to give this man a high five as that guy goes, elevators are to the right.
and he totally, he did not get his high five.
And I see him just lower his hand back down and turn and walk out. And
so, we were hysterically laughing.
As we walk out, I'm already laughing. He's looking side-eyed at me like, oh, gosh, I can't believe you noticed that. So if you know my brother, next time you see him, give him a high five and tell him it's tell him it's from the guy at Marriott in D.C. All right, guys, so we're going to kind of go ahead and wrap this up. So make sure you're liking, subscribing. If you can, tell somebody about our podcast. Word of mouth is probably the best type of advertisement. We do appreciate everybody that's listening. And we're going to start something new with this episode. I'm going to put a comment section on our Facebook page just for this episode. This will be episode 7, hotels. And what we would like for you to do is comment, share some of your hotel tips or the best hotels you like to stay at, or even your hotel horror stories, and we'll share some of those on our next podcast to get things started. Or if you have questions about hotels or anything about that, and
we're here to help you guys.
Yeah.
Travel tips, anything you need.
Yeah, if so, any questions, comments, anything related to hotels,
We're doing this to help you and us. That way we can have a great experience traveling.
Yeah, so we want to kind of start building kind of a community, and for this to become more of a resource, in addition to just some fun stories and information about the places we've been, in case you ever want to go. So be looking for that for every episode we have in the future, and we'll start with briefly talking about some of those comments. So make sure you do that. Go to KentuckyCouple.com, our Facebook page, Instagram, all that good stuff. And we sure do appreciate everybody listening.
See you later.